Welcome to the OPEC Monthly Oil Market Report podcast. This podcast was recorded on Wednesday, the 14th of December, 2016. I'm Etna Trainer, and every month we'll give you an overview of the oil market, according to the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. Let's take a look now at the highlights of the December 2016 OPEC Monthly Oil Market Report. The recent pickup in global economic activity, in combination with supportive developments in the oil market, is seen leading to higher economic growth of 3.1% in 2017, following 2.9% growth in 2016. However, some downside risks prevail, as policy decisions may lead to the use of stimulus measures that may lift inflation to levels higher than anticipated by central banks. This in turn could lead to a quicker than expected rise in interest rates, triggering numerous repercussions on economic growth in various economies, mainly in emerging markets. Despite these uncertainties, the economic landscape is expected to improve in 2017. The OECD economies are forecast to grow at 1.7%, the same level as in 2016. Russia and Brazil are forecast to grow by 0.8% and 0.4% in 2017 respectively, after 2 years of recession. China and India are forecast to expand at a slightly slower pace in 2017, at 6.2% and 7.1% respectively, compared to 6.7% and 7.5% in 2016, so growth remains encouraging. World oil demand growth is estimated at 1.24 million barrels a day in 2016, supported by the transportation sector, reflecting lower retail prices and better than anticipated vehicle sales. In the non-OECD, other Asia and China saw solid to steady oil demand growth. In Latin America and the Middle East, oil requirements were lower than initial projections, as slower economic developments and a high level of substitution dampened oil consumption. In 2017, world oil demand is projected to grow by 1.15 million barrels a day. In OECD, oil demand is projected to rise in OECD Americas, flatten in Europe, and continue declining in Asia-Pacific. In non-OECD, improvement in economic activities is assumed to provide support to oil demand growth, particularly in Latin America and the Middle East. Non-OPEC oil supply in 2016 is estimated to contract by 0.78 million barrels a day. The main contributors to this decline are the US, China, Mexico, Colombia, and other OECD Europe, while growth is anticipated to come from Russia, Brazil, Congo, and the UK. Low oil prices led to a decline of 420,000 barrels a day in American oil production. Declines are also seen coming from Colombia and China, as well as Canadian conventional crude output. In 2017, non-OPEC oil supply is projected to grow by 0.3 million barrels a day, despite initial projections in July 2016 for a contraction. This is mainly due to higher price expectations for 2017. The main contributors to non-OPEC supply growth are Brazil with 0.25 million barrels a day, Kazakhstan with 0.21 million barrels a day, and Canada with 0.17 million barrels a day. In contrast, Mexico, the US, China, Colombia, and Azerbaijan are expected to show the main declines. However, this forecast remains subject to a number of uncertainties, including the pace of economic growth, potential new policies, and price developments. Based on the above forecasts, the demand for OPEC crude in 2017 is expected to stand at 32.6 million barrels a day, which is slightly higher than the 32.5 million barrels a day level referred to in the most recent OPEC ministerial conference. This, combined with the joint cooperation with a number of non-OPEC countries in adjusting production by around 0.6 million barrels a day, will accelerate the reduction of global inventories and bring forward the rebalancing of the oil market to the second half of 2017. This has been the December 2016 OPEC Monthly Oil Market Report podcast, brought to you by Podcast Production Limited. If you found this podcast useful, please register your vote on iTunes. Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye until next year.